What's going on, guys? Dan from SSG bringing you another Edison format deck profile. This time I'm profiling my Tethys Fairy combo deck. This deck, I think, has a lot of room for innovation, so I figured I'd give you my little take on it, and we're going to get right into it. We have the full 3 copies of Tethys. Tethys, really strong card that you want to just draw a lot of cards with. Of course, we're going to be drawing multiple fairies off of this card, and I think this card is just really powerful. I think there's a lot of ways to abuse it. And I think more people should try this deck out because there's a lot of different ways you can sort of use this card. And sneaking this card into play with Valhalla is just one of the more powerful things you can really do in general. So I like just having this card. You know, you got to get it to live, but when it does, it is insane. We have a full 3 copies of Air Knight Parshath. Now, this is one I don't see from people, and then I don't know why. I think this card is pretty awesome. It just is a good card to cheat into play off of Valhalla, and you're going to be able to pressure your opponent's back rows like Deep Prison, Bottomless, and things like that. Otherwise, you're going to be drawing extra cards and beating them like a card advantage game plan, giving your Heralds of Orange Light extra fuel with those draws. And also, this card combos with Tethys, being able to... Tethys is actually can activate during the damage step, so being able to draw a card off this with Tethys in play can sort of facilitate multiple draws in that way as well. So I think this card's just really good at just being like allowing you to play a little bit of a different style of game while also being a combo piece in the same time. And this card just applies pressure to the opponent in a lot of different ways, and because the deck is built to cheat fairies into play, I think this is a great one to do it with. We have the 3 copies of Christia. Of course, this card is just insane. You can drop it naturally. You can special summon it out with the Valhalla. Card's just insane. It's one of the best cards in the format. We're going to try and summon this card as often as possible. Tethys plus this card is just so hard to beat as we're just drawing multiple cards per turn, and Christia is just going to be insane for us. We have 3 copies of Shining Angel. We still are trying to be like a normal deck. When we don't have the combo, we need to be able to live. This card helps us do that, being able to fetch out what we need for the time being. And it's just also facilitates Christia's by crashing and making some interesting plays like that. And we're also running 2 copies of Nova Summoner, 5 Recruiters in this deck. A lot of people going to 6 on this in these Tethys decks. I like 5. I think I want to be able to use my normal summon in different ways, as you'll see later on. But I do like the 5 Recruiters in the sense. I think they do a lot for us and get our deck going. 3 copies of Dimensional Alchemist. I like this card a lot. We're playing 30 monsters in this deck, so we're going to be able to flip on turn 1, see what we hit off of the Alchemist, and just give us a little bit of a card selection in the middle game, right? We're going to be able to find exactly what we're looking for and be able to just kind of float and not commit too much to a normal summon. And I think this card is really good in combination with like something like an Air Knight Parshath, where you're attacking them on multiple angles. You have like floating cards, or like what are they going to do? You're pressuring so many different avenues of attack, and this card just doesn't really commit too much to the board, so I like throwing it next to a card like that. Really strong card in Dimensional Alchemist. 3 copies of Hecatrice. Of course, you can discard this card from your hand to search out Valhalla, which can cheat our fairies into play, which is very, very powerful. Of course, Hecatrice is just very consistent card, enables fast Christias by being a fairy itself. You can discard it to the grave and get an additional fairy in the graveyard. So really strong card. I think the card's really good. And onto some hand traps. We have full 3 copies of Herald of Orange Light. Card's incredible. Of course, we're mitigating the downside of the discard in this deck by drawing multiple cards with Air Knight Parshath, with Tethys, of course, and we're going to be able to actually completely control the game once we resolve a Tethys for like 3-4 cards. The game is going to be over as long as we draw some pieces of interaction, and Herald of Orange Light is a big, important piece of that interactive mindset that we have once we actually combo off our opponent. And this card helps protect our Christia, helps protect Tethys from a lot of different effects like Caius, and it's just going to be really good. I like this card quite a bit. It's one of the main reasons behind Christia why fairy decks are even strong in this format. Now we are running the 2 copies of Herald of Purple Light. Card's just really good. I think it's the second best Herald here, as we're going to be able to prevent Bottomless, prevent Dimensional Prison from getting our big important combo pieces, and make sure we can just protect our Christia from Deep Prison. I think is very strong as well. Very good card. We want to be drawing hand traps that can actually use the extra cards once we draw a million cards with our Tethys, so this is a good way to do that. 2 copies of Honest, of course, another way to protect our Tethys, so we can make sure we get to the following turn where we draw and start going off. Honest is a really powerful card. I think you're going to be able to protect like basically everything, and it's really good in combination with Air Knight Parshath as well. 2 copies of Soul of Purity and Light. I love this card because it gives our cards more activity once we do draw all of them with the Tethys. I think we need some cards to just be able to put onto the battlefield, do something unique, and being able to combo this with Herald of Orange Light for a level 8 Synchro is very powerful. I think being able to special summon the Herald out by, say, Valhalla, and then special summon this with its own effect, make it level 8 synchro without normal summoning. Without normal summoning, it's very, very strong. And I think this card also just helps control the graveyard for Christia, if you need that to be the case. So 2 copies of Soul of Purity and Light, I like it quite a bit. And then 1 copy of Tragodia here, and it's just because once we have a huge hand, this card can just come down and kill the opponent. You can have a huge hand sometimes, and you can just like crash a Recruiter, drop this into play, and then just have this thing be like so much attack points and kill the opponent. But it also is just really good. You're not going to have Gores because of the continuous spells in this deck with Valhalla. So this is going to be our line of defense. This and the hand traps are going to be our main source of defense, and Tragodia is just going to be excellent as our hand's going to be really full most of the time. Of course, spell cards. 3 copies of Valhalla. If you don't control Fairy, just special Fairy into play. Just going to be able to cheat our powerful cards into play. I love this card in combination with Air Knight Parshath. I think the Parshath adds a new dimension to this deck, but this card just combos with everything, whether it be Christia, Tethys, Parshath, even making a synchro play like I just mentioned. Really strong card. It's just really powerful. Just kind of feels like you're cheating when you have this card on turn 1, just doing some nasty things, and it's going to be really good for us as it's the main point of our deck. Now, I also elected to opt for 3 copies of Mausoleum here, and this is just, in my opinion, like this deck should just be playing this card. A lot of people I don't really see running this, and I kind of get why, but like the consistency of just being able to have 9 ways to get that Fairy into play on turn 1 is so important. And I think adding more of these instead of a card like Upstart Goblin actually increases your consistency a little bit more, since you have the 3 of the Mausoleum, 3 Valhalla, and 3 Hecatrice to search the Valhalla. You're going to be very consistent at getting the Tethys down, getting Air Knight down, getting Christia down on turn 1. And those plays are just so powerful when your deck does what it wants to do, that I think facilitating the life points and things like that, I think it's just worth it. I think Mausoleum is just an excellent card in the format, and I definitely wanted to add this card to this Tethys draw style deck. 1 copy of Heavy Storm. I think this could conflict a little bit with the Valhalla, but I think it's really important going second to just get rid of the back rows, and a lot of times our interaction is kind of at a -1 with the Herald of Purple Light, Herald of Orange Light, so I think just being able to gain some card advantage here could be strong, and also just make sure our pushes go through where we don't have to Herald of Purple Light. We can just get rid of the back row straight up 1 for 1 and then start pushing. So card's good. I think you could side it, but I elected to mainboard it here. And then the last 3 cards on the deck, 3 copies of Legacy Yatagarasu. It's just going to be our way to combo with the Tethys. We can set this card down, and then on the following turn, go Tethys, and then immediately flip this card up, and then we don't have to wait the whole turn, right? I think a lot of people run Reckless Greed. A lot of people are running Upstart for consistency. Upstart doesn't work with that, but I understand why you just want to put as much consistency and draw into your deck. This is sort of a combo piece. I like to use it that way rather than like an Upstart. I like to wait till I have Tethys to flip this card over unless I desperately need the card. But I think this card is just a fast combo piece that makes your combo a little bit more consistent, a little bit more powerful, but not having to wait till your draw phase to actually enable the, draw of multiple fairy monsters. But this card is just awesome. I mean, it's just going to be like a draw 3, draw 4 sometimes, and the card is just excellent. So really strong card, chainable, does its thing. And we're going to get into an extra deck here. Pretty standard extra deck. Couple random things to note, but Army Arm, Android, Catastor, Yugioh, Rhyonic, Black Rose, Ancient Sacred Wyvern. Card's really strong. One of the cards that makes our extra deck a little bit different. I also electing to run Urbellum. You can make 7s pretty easily in this deck with the 5s and a 2-star tuner. So Urbellum can kind of come down and just do its thing. I think this card's really good. Put this card into your extra deck, people. It is good. It is quite good. We have Stardust Dragon, Colossal, Thought Ruler Archfiend, Red Dragon, and Avenging Knight Parshath, which is sort of another deck you get to play because you're playing an all-light deck, essentially. Card's really good. We have Mistworm and Chimera Tech. On to the side now, we have 2 copies of Cyber Dragon. Not a fairy, but it does its thing. 2 copies of DD Crow, the SSG Staples, DD Crow and Cyber Dragon. And then we have 3 copies of Banisher of the Radiance. I like this card quite a bit. It's a fairy. It's really good in combination with Valhalla because you can like spit out a big card like Christia and then normal summon this next to it. Very, very powerful piece there, as you can just pressure the opponent. A lot of times the 16 can't get over something big, but you can put a big monster next to it, and then this card just becomes insane, as well as just being a solid card against cards like Dandelion, Trueborn Frog, things of that nature. Card's really good. We then have 2 Herald of Greenlight. A lot of times I decide this in against like Frog Monarch and deck like that just when you don't have the ability to negate trap cards with the purple light, this card can just come in and be like an active card, essentially. I think hitting a well-timed enemy controller can be very important, as they can take your like Christia and then like essentially like just try to kill you with like a normal summon or something like that. I think this card just negates that sort of nonsense, and yeah, card's solid. And then I'm also putting in the 3rd copy of the Purple Light in the side as well. Card's really good. Just against the matchups you want it, this card's going to be great for you, so you just side in the 3rd. Onto some spells. We have Brain Control, Mind Control, mostly just for going 2nd, but we're just going to take monsters that are hard to deal with, synchro them away, or sacrifice them. I think this card could be in the main deck. Brain Control being able to enable your tribute monsters, whether it be Tethys or Air Knight. Very good in combination with Air Knight, of course, clearing the way and then making an attack on that turn. But overall, like, this card's going 2nd. I don't want to clog my deck with too many non-fairy cards, so these 2 on the side. And then I'm also electing to run, in the same vein, 1 copy of Soul Exchange, just to delete some of those annoying threats that can be out early in the game. Get your Tethys down, and the damage doesn't really matter. You just want to try and get the cards, right? So just get the cards into play, get them in your hand, and win the game from there. We have 1 copy of MST in the side. You could play this over the heavy, kind of switch these 2 out, but I elected with the heavy for the power level in the main deck. And then the last card in the deck, in the sideboard, wouldn't be an SSG profile without the 1 copy of Trap Dust Shoot. Of course, we gotta play Trap Dust Shoot. We're gonna draw it on turn 1. We're gonna just completely blow our opponent out of the water. And you know what? We're just gonna go off, and we're just going to play this card 85% our opponent on turn 1, and that's going to be it. And that's how we win duels here at SSG, you know the deal. So that is about it, guys. Let me know what you guys thought about the deck in the comment section below. I think this deck is just really powerful. It's unique, it's different, and it just does a lot of good work. I like Tethys quite a bit. I like Christia. I love the addition of Air Knight Parshath. I think the card just does some really neat and interesting things, and that is about it, guys. Make sure you like, drop a sub maybe, drop a sub, that'd be really helpful. And that is about it. So without further ado, this is Dan V from SSG signing out.